Hello, this is Squadaloo here with Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, here with a little unique demonstration of exactly how the CrossWorlds work. I think maybe many people have already kind of figured this out, but I figured I'd actually show it in action. Because there isn't an official free look mod for this game, but I've sort of found my own really janky workaround. But yeah, I saw some confusion about this, where people were confused how it works on PS4, Xbox One, and Switch One, because I think they think it's more like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where worlds are dynamically loading in as you go through portals. Generally, that was like a whole SSD thing, made a big deal out of using the SSD for that. That's not what's going on here. Much simpler than that. In order to show it off, though, you may notice that things look a little weird, because I can look around here. That's because I'm actually using the UEVR mod. UEVR is a tool that injects VR into Unreal Engine 5 games, which it clearly is one. There's been a profile to play this in first-person VR pretty much since the open network test. It works pretty great. You do have to stand up for both sections. I'll put some information in the description if you are interested. But in order to show exactly what's going on with the CrossWorlds, I'm just going to go ahead and load into the race park and do a custom race. I have already selected some good candidate CrossWorlds to show off what I'm talking about here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into eStadium. Before I do, I'm going to go ahead and give a warning right now. The camera is going to be very jittery for this, so I do apologize if you are prone to motion sickness. You may have a problem watching this video. Also, you are going to see the pause screen for much of this because I don't want Omochao warping me ahead in the race. I'm sure there's probably some option buried in UEVR that turns it off. I'm not really familiar with it. So you're kind of going to have to look past the pause screen for a lot of this. Just figured I'd give a heads up before we load in, but we're just going to load in now. This cutscene's a little weird because it's in VR, but there. Now this looks about like you'd expect for a VR game where we're kind of just sitting behind the wheel here. As soon as this starts, I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and I'm going to mess with some settings, because one of the options in UEVR is to change the game's world scale, so that you can properly scale a person in order to fit into the world. But that is what I am going to use to show you how this game works. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 4, and immediately, you notice, if I lean left and right, car looks a lot smaller now. 40. Now the car is basically a Hot Wheels car, and if I lean left and right, it looks like that. 400. Well, now we're getting a pretty good view of all of eStadium here. From inside the stadium. Lean forward. 4,000. I will say this is off. For some reason, I'm supposed to be a little higher up. I don't know what's going on here. Let me reset my camera view here. Okay. I don't know why that's looking so weird, but whatever. We're at 4,000. We just cut to the chase. It's got to 40,000. Yep, you kind of already got the view of it. I really don't know why my position's weird. Naturally, this is like the 4th time I've tried to record this. Something's gone wrong every time. But here you can see all of eStadium. All I have to do is lean to the right, and hello, there's cyberspace. And if I lean forward, oh, well then that right there I can recognize based on the skybox. And let me see if you can get a better view of it. I think you should be able to see now that that is Sky Road. So yeah, it is as simple as the game simply just loads 3 worlds at once, presents you with a choice between one of them and a quote-unquote random one, which is actually just the other one it's loaded into memory. That's it. That's all that's going on here. It's as simple as that. That's also how the finale works, because instead of just loading 2 different CrossWorlds, it just loads the other 2 tracks and you warp between them. And I think for the normal game, that's fine and dandy and all. You probably would have been able to figure that out. To me, the bigger question, once I figured that out, which I've learned confirmed because if you do a first-person VR game in the Grand Prix, when it's doing the whole course intro thing, you can actually just look around and see the CrossWorlds. That's how I figured it out. But if I go into play, and we're going to go into time trial, we're going to do the 3-lap tracks first. So the way the 3-lap track works on E Stadium, which, let me just, I'm offline, so it doesn't really matter. Load up E Stadium. Yes, I have the defense gadget. Yes, it's not going to work. We'll load it in here, and we're going to start in the middle of this E Stadium. But if I lean to the right, what's this? A second E Stadium. And if I lean forward, what do we have over here? It's a third E Stadium. Yes, the game really just loads 3 of the same course when you are doing the 3-lap races. It's as simple as that. The reason I believe they needed to do this is because the 3rd lap of every course... Well, actually 2 reasons. First is the 3rd lap of every course is different. Normally, in a normal race, you would leave the course, go to a CrossWorld. It could load the 3rd lap while you're away, essentially, from the original course and replace it with the 3rd lap. So they can just do that. You can't really do that if you're already on the original course in time trial, so they would have to warp from lap 2 to lap 3, and because they're warping from lap 2 to lap 3, they should probably warp from lap 1 to lap 2. They also need to warp from lap 1 to lap 2 because the portal would technically show... The portal you leave from is behind where you are going, the portal you're going into, so in theory, if you were warping into the same world you were already in, you would see yourself and the portal you're about to drive into through the portal. So that's all that's going on here. Pretty simple as that. As far as I can tell from my testing, I believe it is this one right here is lap 1. If I lean forward, this is lap 2. And if I lean to the side over here, this is lap 3. I think that's what I determined. I used white space to determine that. I may be off on which one's which. This is definitely lap 1, because if I go into VR, this is the first one it throws me above. Okay, simple as that. Now, the fascinating one for me was, how do the CrossWorlds work? Because, in theory, if there are always 3 worlds loaded at once, the CrossWorlds start on a weird time trial world. So how would that work? Because then you would need a 4th world loaded in if every lap is its own lap. So we'll just go ahead and load into the Sky Road time trial so we can see exactly how that works. Alright, so we've loaded in, and here is our weird gateway thing that you see at the beginning of every time trial of every CrossWorld. I do apologize because I don't really know which eye you're looking out of. I believe it's the left, so I better make sure it's centered in the left eye. If we lean to the right, there's a Sky Road. If we lean forward, there's a Sky Road. But is there a 3rd Sky Road? You lean to the left, nothing. I look backward, nothing. So, as far as I've been able to tell, and I've tested this on like 3 different CrossWorlds, you start here, you go forward into this CrossWorld in front of us. Both lap 1 and lap 2 are in that same CrossWorld. And then lap 3 is over here in this CrossWorld. I believe they can get away with sharing a lap 1 and lap 2 for the CrossWorlds because you don't have the portal problem that I was talking about, where because it's a linear course, like the portal you're looking through wouldn't show yourself. It would just show the beginning of the area you're already in. So they can get away with sharing a lap 1 and lap 2 section, and then lap 3 needs to be its own thing because lap 3 usually has some changes. So really, that's all there is to it. The game always loads 3 worlds. If it is a normal race, those 3 worlds are the main world and your 2 CrossWorld choices. If it is the Grand Prix finale, those 3 worlds are just the 3 tracks of the Grand Prix. If it is a 3-lap time trial, those 3 courses are just the same course 3 times. And if it is a CrossWorld time trial, it is the starting gate, a lap 1 and 2 version, and a lap 3 version. Hope you found this fascinating. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to make sure it actually worked, because I keep recording this and something keeps going wrong. And I'm really tired of giving the same speech. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.